Last time I mentioned some of the things about Yazid. After killing Imam Hussein, Yazid went to destroy the city of Medina, ransacked the city, humiliated the people, ravished the city, and there were lots of crimes against humanity, rape, murder, plunder, everything went on for, he said the army basically was free to do whatever they wanted. After that, they attacked the city of Mecca, and they destroyed and burned the house of Allah. All that, it was in operation against Mecca, inside Mecca was continuing while they got the news of death of this Mal'un, Yazid. So this is like, so Yazid fought Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So this family is all, and Bani Umayyah's culture is still prevalent today among the Muslims. The majority of Muslims, their governments, their so-called scholars, their orators, their reporters, their intellectuals, right? And the people as well. They believed in the same thought process. They believe that whatever happened in early Islam is not our business, first of all. Whatever happened, Allah is the judge. Leave it all to Allah. Why talk about history? Leave it on the day of judgment, Allah will decide. Well, it's very easy to say this. Problem is, you are telling us that we don't look at what really happened because we can't now decide now who's right, who's wrong. Like you're, like basically, the Holy Prophet was also part of history. If you leave history, you will not know. Rasulullah also was against Abu Sufyan. You want us to not talk about Abu Sufyan. So all the faith depends on our past. Quran, Hadith is all from the past. Quran talks about the past all the time. Quran talks about Adam, Musa, Nuh. Quran talks about Ibrahim. Quran talks about the bad guys. Namrud, Fir'aun, right? All these. Quran is full of history. You're telling us not to talk about history, leave all this matter. Well, that was not the word of prophets. The enemies of prophets, we used to say, oh, leave all this matter to God. We are, same people. That's one problem with today's Muslims. Another problem is they say, well, it's all determined by God. If someone is in hakim, someone is for example, in power in your country or wherever, right? Allah made him the ruler. It's not your problem. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him. That's another problem with that. The third thing is, they say, this is not a matter about which the Prophet said anything. So the Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accusing him of abandoning his ummah without telling people what to do after him. Like either the Prophet appointed someone, or he said, let's say for example, if you own something, right, and you're leaving, you say, okay, this thing belongs to so and so after me. A teacher walks out of the classroom, you can't just walk out and go away. You say, okay, I'm appointing a substitute teacher. If there's a principal of a school, he says, okay, I'm going on a vacation for 6 months. How is this school going to run? There's got to be some place, some way to get the system running smoothly, right? Based on the vision of the founder. The founder of this prophetic mission is Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But if someone has established, like my teacher said in home, he said, if you start a business, if you're a project, and you're saying, okay, you know what, I want to appoint someone, and the neighborhood people come and say, oh no, you did your thing, you go away, we will figure it out. But he said, but this is my business. Like I cannot walk away and make someone else in charge, because I am entrusted with this responsibility of preaching this religion and preserving this message, because it's a message of divine guidance. It is not just a simple thing about me handing over something to somebody. It is a revolution which is in operation, which will continue against all the transgressors and oppressors in history. Please cite a salawat. So this tree, its roots are this tree of wilayat. I was mentioning that Holy Prophet couldn't have left the people without successor. So either he appointed a person. Now if they say they did not, the Holy Prophet never appointed, or for example in all the hadiths that we have, Shia and Sunni, all the Muslims, all the reports we have about Holy Prophet, for example, if someone claims there's no mention of future, nothing mentioned, the Prophet never said a word about after him. Well, it's obviously a lie. Because it's just all over the place. They can make different justifications and explanations about it, but this is something that cannot be denied. For example, in the Sunni book Kanzul Ummal, Mullah Muttaqi Hindi was a great Sunni scholar, Muhaddis. In this book Kanzul Ummal, he writes this, mentions this hadith. I'm just, for a fact, just mentioning this because there are thousands and thousands of hadiths in their books. Because the Prophet said, after me will be a lot of discord, fitna. After me will be a very big test for the trial after me for this ummah. He warned the people of grave problems occurring in this ummah. So he knew this. He knew there will be a lot of issues coming up. There will be problems, disunity, there will be mischief, there will be a lot of things, right? Bloodshed and different things. So he knew, he was warning people. And so this report in Kanzul Ummal says the Holy Prophet was sitting along with his companions in the masjid, and Salman Farsi, who was called Salman Muhammadi, Salman Farsi asked the Holy Prophet this question. He said, Ya Rasulullah, every prophet has a successor. Every prophet, he announces a successor after him. Who is your successor? So the Prophet paused. He became silent for a few seconds. Then he looked up to Salman and said, Salman, come close to me. So Salman got up immediately and came to the Holy Prophet. The Holy Prophet asked Salman this question. Salman, tell me, you're saying that every prophet had a successor, right? So tell me, who was the successor of Musa ibn Imran? Prophet Musa, Ulul Azm. Salman said, Yusha. Yusha ibn Nun was the successor of Moses. So the Prophet said, why did Musa appointed Yusha as his successor? Now for those of you probably are unaware that although Prophet Musa had announced Harun as a successor, but Harun died during the life of Prophet Musa. So when he was dying, he needed to announce successor. So Prophet asked Salman, why did he choose and announce Yusha? Salman said, because of his knowledge. Yusha was the most knowledgeable person in the community, in his nation. So the Holy Prophet said, in my nation, I will appoint the most knowledgeable person as my successor. The person who makes the best decisions, right? And that is the person of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam. So this is one report from their book. Someone says, no, the Prophet never mentioned anything about future. That's wrong. Secondly, somebody might claim that the Prophet appointed a shura. He did not appoint a single person, he appointed a shura. Like in Jamhuri Islami in Iran, they have a Majlis Khubragan. They have a leadership council. He appointed a council that they will choose a leader from among them. Well, the council in Iran chooses a leader, right? They are chosen from all over the country. You can't just say, okay, you become that council. No, council has to be, basically he's saying that this council represents the people who will choose. That's what he's trying to say. It's not like me choosing now, it's this council choosing. So where does this council come from? It doesn't come from the sky. This is from the people. So if Prophet is not appointing a leader, that means people are appointing. There's nothing, no third option. For people to appoint, that means there's a council. Okay, did Prophet create such a council? Did he create a shura? Please say salawat. Did Prophet constitute a council for selection of the leader after him? He did not. Because like in Iran, the council is elected. There are elections for this leadership council. Like every city, there are candidates. There are several ulama and non-ulama experts who are elected to be part of this council, and then within this council, the elections, when the need arises, to choose a leader. That's how it is. The Prophet was living in Medina. For him to constitute a council, he would need a person from Africa, people from Yemen, people from Hijaz, from Iraq, from wherever the Islamic armies had gone into. He had to basically, and how would he choose that? Either he personally appoints them, or there would be election held. None of that ever happened. None of that happened. There's only one option left, that the Prophet of Allah himself, from day one till his deathbed, he announces a successor. And there is evidence all over the book of Hadith, all over history and Hadith. The Prophet of Allah appointed Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam as successor. Salawat. So for a person to believe in La ilaha illallah, he must believe in the wilayat of Ali alayhi salam. I referred to this hadith of Shajar Tuba last night in relation to the month of Sha'ban, that the hadith says in the month of Sha'ban, right, the tree of Tuba, which is the tree we are talking about, the tree in paradise, which grows in the house of Rasulullah Akram and Imam Ali, and it has branches in every house of paradise, of Jannah. So when the month of Sha'ban starts, Allah orders this tree of Tuba to lower its branches into this dunya, our world, in this dunya, okay? From the heaven all the way down to earth. Now we don't see it, but everyone can hold one of the branches of Shajar Tuba, and this tree of Tuba will take this person into paradise in this month of Sha'ban. And there is an incident reported. This hadith I'm mentioning is in Mafatihul Jinan. You can read. In the end of this hadith, it says that the Zayd ibn Haritha, he was in this month of Sha'ban. He was part of this battle and surrounded by enemies, and the Zayd ibn Haritha was praying to Allah and had a very deep love for Ali ibn Abi Talib in his heart. So he was praying, and because of the enemies closed in, they came in, they were about to ambush and kill the whole army of Muslims. But Zayd ibn Haritha was standing praying, and because of the nur of wilayat from his heart, the sky suddenly lit up. And the Muslims, they all became awake, and they saw the enemies, the faces of the enemies. In the darkness of the night, they could see them, and they were able to organize themselves before being attacked, and they fought them away, fought them back. That light that came from this qunut of Zayd ibn Haritha. So the army, when it came back to Medina, the Holy Prophet said, this Shajar Tuba, right, lowered his branches in this dunya, in this month of Sha'ban, which is my month of Holy Prophet. And every mu'min grabs one of the branches of this tree. But Zayd ibn Haritha was holding the stem of this tree with his both arms on that night, right? When he was almost at the point of being ambushed, could have been a massacre. Everyone in that army would have been killed. So I'm talking about, this is a real life thing, and then so, this wilayat of Ali, right? So if you, for example, want to see it today, for example, we are living in times, we are commemorating Ashura. We're basically talking about La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, right? For example, this La ilaha illallah is in our fitrat. Fitratallah allati fatara an-nasa alayha. Quran says, وَأَقِمْ وَجْهَكَ لِلدِّينِ حَنِيفًا. Turn your face towards the pure faith. فَأَقِمْ وَجْهَكَ لِلدِّينِ حَنِيفًا. Deen, which is hanif, which is straight and pure. فِطْرَةَ اللَّهِ الَّتِي فَطَرَ النَّاسَ عَلَيْهَا. This is the pure nature of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He created every soul on that pure nature. So Imam Jafar as-Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam was asked about this. Recite salawat. was asked the Fitrat Allah, what is the meaning of Fitrat Allah? Fitrat, the divine nature gifted to us when we were created. Imam said, At-Tawheed, At-Tawheed, At-Tawheed. The divine nature is Tawheed. Tawheed means La ilaha illallah. And another hadith, which is very intriguing, it makes your eye opening. Another person asked Imam Sadiq, same Imam, about the meaning of this Fitrat Allah. Imam said, this Fitrat Allah is three things, right? Which are basically built in, which are programmed in our spirits. He said these three things are Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, Ashhadu anna Aliyan Waliyullah, Salawatullah alayhi majma'in. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. So the nature that you are born with is built on these three things. At-Tawheed, 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 which means Ashhadu anna la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, Ashhadu anna Aliyan Waliyullah. These three things are already in your soul. Now if a person keeps oneself pure, right, keeping away from haram, and if a person makes a mistake, says, oh Allah, astaghfirullah, I'm sorry, bihaqq Muhammadan wa ali Muhammad, forgive me, and corrects himself, corrects herself, and follows, tries to get on the right track, right? When that happens and stays on this course of Tawheed, right? Then this fitrat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which connects him from this tree of this wilayat to the root of this wilayat, which is the risalat of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala. Fitrat of Allah, when we are born with this fitrat, right, we have to preserve it, protect it. We are born, we already have it. Now we have to, bring it out more. We have to live our lives in a certain way. So commemoration of this incident of Karbala, for us, it means a lot. Because it shows, for example, okay, when you are listening to an incident, this whole chapter of history, in a way you are placing yourself right there. When you say, for example, Imam Hussain alayhi salam, on this day of the 2nd of Muharram, he arrived on the plain of Karbala. Okay, what does that mean? When I'm mentioning to you, for example, Imam Hussain alayhi salam, he arrived and he asked the name of this place. People gave different names of this place. He said, is there another name for this place? And one of them came and said, one of the names of this place is Karbala. Karbala. Imam said, oh Allah, a'udhu bika min karbil wa bala'in. Oh Allah, ask refuge, seek your refuge from karb and bala, from pain and affliction. And the first Majlis of Shuhada Karbala, you know who recited the first Majlis? It was recited by Imam Hussain himself. When he heard the name Karbala, he announced, he says, this is the place where our men will be killed. This is our place where our children will be slaughtered. This is our place where we will camp, right? And this is a place where our women will be taken captives. Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam, when he spoke, I'll narrate these few words from history, from our books of hadith. Imam Hussain alayhi salam spoke to the army of Hur. Now there, as you know, Hur blocked the path of Imam Hussain to Kufa. And Imam Hussain alayhi salam was forced to camp at this place called Karbala. Imam Hussain alayhi salam was there with his family. Imam Hussain alayhi salam did not come with an army. He was with his immediate family. And a few companions who joined him on the way. Wahab ibn Abdullah, who was a Christian to convert recently, and he saw some miracles from Imam Hussain alayhi salam. He and his mother and his wife, they embraced the tashayyu, the love of Ahlul Bayt and Islam. They joined Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Within a few days, Karbala happened. The Imam arrived in Karbala and then he went to fight and he died and gave his life for in the path of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. So Imam Hussain alayhi salam is with his family and his cousins, his sons, his brothers, all of that. That's it. So then facing him is Hur, and now gradually the other armies are arriving in thousands and thousands. Imam Hussain spoke to the army of Hur. He said, Amma ba'd faqad alimtum. You know my relationship with Rasulullah. Anna Rasulullah qad qala fi hayatihi. The Prophet said, whoever sees an oppressive ruler who is changing the haram things, making them halal, and he's breaking the covenant of Allah, he's acting against the sunnah of Rasulullah, and he oppresses the people and violates the sanctities of Islam, and shows hostility towards his own people, and the people are watching and they don't do anything. They're watching, they don't try to stop him, they don't protest, they don't denounce his actions, they don't try to, block those actions, those transgressions. You see, بِقَوْلٍ وَلَا فِعْلٍ كَانَ حَقِيقًا عَلَى اللَّهِ أَنْ يُدْخِلَهُ مَدْخَلَهُ. Imam Hussain said, if anyone is silent in the face of oppression, this person is actually joined the ranks of oppressors and will be resurrected with them. وَقَدْ عَلِمْتُ أَنَّ هَؤُلَاءِ, he said, don't you see, you can see that these people, which means Yazid and Ali Abu Sufyan and their followers, right? They have followed the path of obedience of shaitan. I'm finishing. And they are doing all this, right? And I am more worthy of speaking against this evil and to come out. And if you support me, me and my family are with you. And it is good for you because for your hereafter, for your salvation and najat. And if you do not do that, then it is not the first time you are doing this. You all have done the same to my father and to my brother, and you will face the wrath of God in this dunya and in akhirah. And then when that happens, Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam ordered his companions and his family to come close, and Imam said that, oh Allah, they have kept us, they have forced us to leave our city. They have forced us to leave our city, and they have expelled us from from Medina, and they have surrounded us, and they have refused to give us any respect because of our relationship with the Holy Prophet. Allahumma inna itratu nabiyyika Muhammad wa qad ukhrijna wa turidna wa uz'idna an haram jaddina wa ta'addad banu umayyah alayna. This family of Yazid, they have openly caused aggression against us and attacked us, right? Oh Allah, help us get our rights from these people. Imam Hussain al-Islam, as Imam Hussain al-Islam is telling his companions to camp over here, on the other hand, all these soldiers and armies are arriving, and Janab Zainab al-Kubra is coming down from a camel. All the women of the household of Holy Prophet, Akbar and Qasim and Abbas, all these are gathered around Janab Zainab to protect her so that no eyes will fall on the household of Holy Prophet. Just a few days pass, and Zainab finds herself alone as the guardian of this caravan of orphans and widows. And Zainab Salamullahi helps every woman get on the camel. In the end, she is standing alone, looking around. She says, surrounded by all these enemies. She glances at the bank of that river where Abbas is lying as a martyr, drenched in his blood. He said, Abbas, how you would have helped me in Medina, how you helped me all this way. And now Zainab is preparing herself to be taken as a captive. She remembered the time when her father Ali was passing away, when Ali brought Zainab close to her and kissed her shoulder and says, Zainab, a day will come where you will be taken in ropes and chains. And I was thinking, Abbas, how can someone like me who has so many brothers could be taken a captive like this? But now I've come to believe it. I've come to accept that this fate was written for me, that I have to now stand up as a leader of this caravan. And even Zainul Abidin could not do anything because Zainul Abidin was so sick that he would fall down from the horse. So his legs were tied on the horse. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج والعافية والنصر اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين واخذل الكفار والمنافقين والمشركين اللهم انصر من نصر الإسلام واخذل من خذل الإسلام بجاه محمد وآله